Hi everyone, welcome back to Cotto Verde. My name's Annette and today I'm sowing seeds. I thought you might like to see what I'm sowing. It's kind of miserable outside, so we're doing the seed sowing indoors, and I knew it would be miserable today, so I have pre-prepared my trays. I'll just explain a little bit about how I sow my seeds and what I do, and then I'll just go through what I'm sowing today. I'm very excited. So I sow my seeds, normally I sow my seeds into these cell trays. So they are 40 cell trays, and you can see here they're about, 2 inches deep. And then I use, because these are kind of weak, I use stronger trays which also have holes in the bottom so that I can bottom water, and I place them inside there, and that way my plastic trays last a lot longer and I don't have to keep replacing them. I can use them, reuse them year after year. And then these trays I put into these hard trays, firstly because it's easy to water them in this, but also it's easier to carry them, and I have big domes that I can put over all of these to keep the humidity in. So what I'm going to do today though is slightly different, because I'm sowing Snapdragons today, or antirrhinum, and those need heat. They germinate between 18 and 20 degrees, and it's just not that temperature here in the UK at the moment. So these are going to go into my storeroom where I have shelves with grow lights and, more importantly, heat mats. And so I'm going to sow the Snapdragons in here and take them next door, where I will, having watered them, I will then put them on the heat mats like this, and then I have these lightweight plastic lids, actually these need a bit of a clean, that I put on top, and that keeps the humidity in. So let's get started. I don't know if you've seen Snapdragon seeds before, but they are absolutely tiny, one of the smallest seeds. So it's kind of fiddly, and I'll speed the video up for that. But what I'll do is go through the varieties that I'm sowing today, and I'll put a picture of each one up on the screen so that you get to see what it's going to look like. So I am sowing antirrhinum majus apple blossom, absolutely gorgeous. This gets to 90 centimeters. I don't know whether it will on a spring sowing. I'm sowing antirrhinum majus black prince. That gets to 40 centimeters high, 45 centimeters high. I'm sowing antirrhinum majus the rose, another tall snapdragon that can get to 90 centimeters. Antirrhinum majus rocket white, it's another tall one, 75 centimeters. I'm sowing antirrhinum majus, and it's a Potomac series, Potomac lavender, and that's absolutely gorgeous. It says here it gets to 1.5 meters. I have never managed that. And then those are all from Chiltern Seeds, by the way. And then I've got some from Zoe, lovely Zoe at Swan Cottage Flowers, and I've got her Snap Star White. Her seed packets don't have much information on, but you can look these up on the internet. And I'm also growing her Snap Star Pink. I'm growing Madam Butterfly. It's a double series, and it's the ivory. And I'm also growing the bronze. Both of these are F1, so you can't collect the seeds, and they grow to 75 centimeters. And then I've got some more of Zoe's, and I'm growing her cherry bronze, the Madam Butterfly red, and the Madam Butterfly colour mix. Now, what I also do, and I do want to show you this, it's quite important. So some seed packets, particularly if you buy them from like garden centres, they will have a best before date or a use by date on the back of the packet. But a lot of seeds, especially like if you order from Chiltern Seeds or from Zoe, or in fact any other place, most of the time, I mean, I've never found one that does have a date on it actually, so they don't come with dates on them. Every time I place an online order, I write the date on the packet when I received that seed, so I know how old the seed is. And the reason that that's important is because if you're sowing seeds, for instance, from 2019, like I am with the apple blossom, you're going to want to put a few seeds in each cell, not just one, because the germination rate is going to be way down. I'm going to sow more than one seed per cell. So if you see me sowing more than one per cell, it's because the date on my packet indicates that it's quite old. These seeds are pretty old, so I'm going to sprinkle some in each cell. And I'm just sprinkling here, and these are so tiny that you just can't see them. And I have got so many varieties of Snapdragons that I'm literally just going to do one row of 5 cells for each one. I use these little plastic labels here and I just reuse them. If you use this garden marker, I'll link it below, then you can, when you finish with your label, you can just wash it. That won't take the garden marker off, but if you use a branded nail varnish, nail polish remover, that will, and just some cotton wool, that will clean them and they come up brand new. The other thing that it's important to say is that Snapdragons need to be sown on the surface of the compost. So you don't want to cover them with anything because they need light to germinate. So that's really important. Some people may cover them with a light sprinkling of vermiculite. I don't use vermiculite to cover my seedlings unless it specifically says. And the other thing I just wanted to mention is that the compost that I'm using is the one that I use for absolutely everything, which is the peat-free Melcourt Silver Grow compost, and it's RHS approved. And this is not a seed compost, this is a normal compost. This is a normal compost. I could have sieved it. I mean, you'll see that there are, you know, some chunks in there, but that doesn't trouble me. And seeds, you know, just think about seeds out in the garden. They'll germinate on anything. Also, I know that particularly I've noticed in the States that everybody pre-moistens their compost before they fill their trays. I don't do that. I think mostly because I wasn't taught to do it that way. I've been taught to sow my seeds in, you know, to put my compost in the trays, sow my seeds, and then to bottom water. And what I mean by bottom watering is that you put water in a tray and then you place your seed trays in that tray, and with capillary action it just soaks up the water it needs. So you just leave them there for 15-20 minutes until you can see the surface of your soil is moist, and then you lift them out, drain the little plastic trays, and then put them wherever you need to put them. And I prefer to do it that way. I wouldn't top water because then your seeds would just go everywhere and you don't want that. But that's the way I do it, and feel free to pre-moisten your compost and fill your trays if that is the way you like doing it. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. Wait for the snaps. I absolutely love Snapdragons. They're just the cutest things, and you can make one beautiful vase out of literally just Snapdragons. They're gorgeous. Not only that, but I'll tell you a secret, and that is here in the Chilterns, I am able to keep Snapdragons from one year to the next. They overwinter for me. I'm in the equivalent of a zone 8 in the States. I have clay soil, it rains a lot, we do get snow, and my Snapdragons still manage to go through the winter. I've still got some of last year's Snapdragons in the pots outside the family room. So they've got their humidity domes on, and they're on heat mats, which I've turned on, and they're also underneath the lights because snaps need light to germinate. So the lights will go off after 14 hours, but the heat mats stay on because we want to maintain that nice, warm, humid atmosphere to get the snaps growing. As soon as I see germination in 50% of any one of these, I will take them off the heat mat. These are just removable, and I will keep them under the lights, and I will take the humidity dome off. Okay, so the next thing I'm sowing today are some Larkspur. Now, ideally, Larkspur will be sown in the autumn because they need what's called cold stratification, and that basically means they need fluctuating temperatures in order to germinate. So they need to go from like freezing cold to warmer, 10 to 15 degrees. They don't want it to be hot. They won't germinate if it's too hot. So these are not going on my heat mats. But they need fluctuating temperatures, and you can kind of fake this process and sow them in the spring like I am by putting your seeds in the freezer, literally keeping them in the freezer. I keep mine in the freezer, they're there all year long. And you just put them in a plastic bag. I mean, I guess you could use a Tupperware if you don't want to use a plastic bag. Seal it up, put it in the freezer, and then forget about them. And then in my seed box, I've just got a note that says they're in the freezer in case I go, where are all my larkspur? Anyway, so take them out of the freezer when you're ready to sow them. And so they'll have been in freezing temperatures, and then suddenly you're bringing them into slightly warmer temperatures, even if you're placing them outside. And then they'll get fluctuated temperatures if it gets cold at night and then it gets warmer during the day, and this will initiate germination of your seed. I have found this to be a pretty fail-safe way of getting my larkspur to germinate. So what I'm sowing today, I'm sowing 2 rows of misty lavender because I love that the most. There's another one called Smoky Eyes. I'm hopefully putting all these pictures up on the screen for you. Smoky Eyes is gorgeous. I'm doing 2 rows of that as well. Yes, I am. And then everything else I'm doing 1 row, so just 5 cells. So I'm sowing Larkspur White, one called Snow Cloud from the Cloud series. I'm sowing one that I haven't sown before, and it's a lemon yellow colour. I've never seen this before. And it's called Delphinium semibarbatum Larkspur. I'm sowing 3 blues. I'm sowing Blue Cloud from the Cloud series, Blue Spire from the Exquisite series, and Blue Butterfly, which is a dwarf Chinese delphinium. I'm sowing Fancy Purple Picotee, quite excited about that. And I'm sowing something from Nikki's Nursery, which is another seed company that I order from, and this is called Sublime Bright Pink. Fab. I am sowing Pink Perfection, Carmine King, and Salmon Beauty. These are much bigger, much easier to sow than the Snapdragons that I've just sown. A lot of seed packets will say to sow these directly outside. I have never done that. And really the reason they say to sow them directly outside and that they don't transplant well is that larkspur have something called a taproot. So they're a little bit like a juvenile carrot, like they've just got the one main root that goes down into the soil. And if you try to transplant them, so pot them out of these, and you happen to damage that root, then you've killed your seedling. So when they say they don't transplant well, it's because they've got this taproot. If you're confident enough to feel that you can transplant them, and if you leave them in these cells long enough that they form a decent root, then actually they're easier to move on and you shouldn't have any problems. So you can sow these directly outside, or you can do it the way I'm doing it. So then don't forget to just make sure each one has got contact with the soil. I am not pushing down hard, like you don't want to squash and compact your soil. There we go. And then I will put a big dome lid on this, and I will place it outside in my cold frames. And then the seeds, do not forget, need to go back in the freezer. Well, that's it for today. I have sown my Snapdragons and my Larkspur, and I will post a video and let you know when I've got germination, and I'll show you how they look in the summer in all their full glory. So if you've enjoyed this video, then do subscribe to my channel and follow along in my journey. And if you have any questions, pop them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Yeah, I don't use Germanite. I don't use Germanite. And it's called Delphinium semibarbatum.